I don't know. Matt Turner, you know what you're getting. I'd like to see even Schulte. Like, I thought he was pretty bad in the Olympics, but let's see what he can do with a better.
Very bad.
Let's see what he can do with a better defense in front of him. I don't know.
I don't know if the long shots were.
Yeah, they were just going under his hands.
Yeah,
I don't really know. But
welcome back to Yanks Abroad. The U.S. men's national team September camp roster has just been revealed. And Matt Turner got a move, which is big, as well as some other movements for some men's national team players, and then we'll do an Americans Abroad update. But I think the first question on everyone's mind is how much importance do we put into this camp? Because it's not Pochettino's players yet, and McKennie and Anthony Robinson were both left home due to rest or to allow them to get some more time in their respective camp. So for you, under the take care manager, whatever you want to call it. Caretaker. That's what I was looking
caretaker,
for.
Sure.
Yeah, the caretaker manager. How much weight do you put into this camp?
I think we have to, number one, McKennie hasn't played all summer, had a bad summer, but he's obviously still an integral part of the team. So I think everything needs to be taken with a grain of salt. Obviously, Pochettino was involved in this selection. I don't think it was.
So?
I think he must have been. That's insane if he wasn't, because as much as we have 2 years, we only have so much time for Pochettino to get to know his players and whatever. Yeah. I think this is actually a real chance to show off for a lot of players. And I think there's 2 matches. Anthony Robinson wasn't brought, but you have 2 left backs who were, which is Caleb Wiley and Christopher Lund. I expect each one to start one match, and then they both get a chance to showcase why for the October camp, one of them should be the backup to Anthony Robinson.
Yep.
That's how I see it in that position. When it comes to McKennie, he hasn't played, needs to regain match fitness. Tanner Tessman, also another one not included. He is definitely going to be a part of this team, especially with Tyler Adams out. So I think it's important to see how they play on the pitch, but I wouldn't take too much importance in the general group of players who was selected for this camp.
All right, so I'm going to go through. You're going to do 1 to 10, 10 being they're in real danger, 1, nothing to worry about, starting with Weston McKennie.
Nothing to worry about. 1, nothing to worry about, at least in the next 12 months.
Okay.
He's too important.
Tanner Tessman?
2 or 3, just because he has not really been a part of the U.S. men's national team setup so far. Obviously, he needs to hit the ground running at Lyon in order to get into this October camp. But in terms of how worried I am if he's going to be included in the 2026 World Cup squad, not worried. So I'd give him a 3.
And Anthony Robinson?
0. Not 0. Even. There's no world in which he is not at least the backup left back at 2026.
And Gaga Salina?
I would be at a 5 or a 6 for Slonina. I mean, I think he's obviously not in huge favor in the U.S. camp to begin with. He wasn't the starter at the Olympics. So I think Slonina has a lot to prove.
Is coming off of 2 clean sheets. Was he getting consistent minutes last year?
Yeah, no, for sure he was. And I think, if he plays a full year at Bradford, is that where he is?
No.
I don't know why I just blanked on the name of the team he's at.
He is at...
No, Bradford City is what my FIFA career mode currently is with. That's why I said Bradford. It starts with a B. I just completely... Barnsley, thank you.
Yes, Barnsley.
He's at... Just going to cut there right where I pick it up. Yeah, he's at Barnsley. Patrick Schulte is at Columbus Crew. Right. If he plays great for Barnsley all year, I don't think it matters much what happens with Schulte. I think Slonina will be a big part of the summer rotation for goalkeepers. And yeah, Matt Turner got a move, but still not going to be playing every week. So
I don't know about worry for us because we're not big fans, but worry for him, Cameron Carter-Vickers, 1 through 10.
I'd probably give it a 4.
Okay.
I think... Again, if he's playing at Celtic every week, if he's playing with Austin Trusty at Celtic every week, if he's playing in the Champions League 8 times this year, think that experience, as much as we don't like him, probably makes more sense than some of these other players that are here, even a Mark McKenzie or Marlon Fossey. I think you're probably more likely to get Cameron Carter-Vickers, who has tons of experience, Champions League experience. Those are obviously massive, massive things. If anything, to me, Cameron Carter-Vickers not being included more means so that Pochettino knows he's going to be a part of his first camp.
And then finally, in general, most of the Olympic team, almost none of them on the roster. So for them, do you think that's just a product of them not being good enough, or where do you hold weight in that?
A lot of them don't play in Europe.
Okay.
I think, we have 2 players from the MLS here. Tim Ream, who's not really MLS.
Right.
And Patrick Schulte. Is that right? Those are the only 2 MLS players who... Yeah, those are the only 2 MLS players who got selected, right? So I think it's what we've been talking about with Pochettino coming in. It's You have to be outstanding in the
Right.
MLS in order to be a part of this team moving forward, which I think is what that should be the standard. But it also shows that players from Standard Liège, like Marlon Fossey, are getting called up. You don't have to go play and sit on the bench at Borussia Dortmund or at Juventus. You need to come play in Europe, show that you're willing to, adapt to the European style of the game, and that's how we move forward as a country, which I think is actually really important. I think for a while, and we've talked about this a lot, it was, okay, oh my God, we have this player at Chelsea, this player at Barcelona. Like, that's not the key. The key is getting minutes around Europe at some of these developmental clubs and then seeing where your career goes from there. Like Caleb Wiley going to Strasbourg gives him a leg up on John Tolkien, even though Tolkien was the starting left back in the Olympics.
Okay. All right. Those are all I feel like the big name players that missed out, unless I missed anyone in particular.
No, I think those are really the really big names. I mean, there's some ones that people thought might get selected that didn't, but I think those are the names that we really thought would be here. Tessman to me is probably the most surprising, but I did forget he didn't play a preseason at all and just made a move. So I think if anything, they're trying to protect him and let him settle into Lyon, train with the team.
I'd imagine that's what I think they're doing with Weston McKennie. Like Anthony Robinson, they said he was injured a lot, so it's just like it's a grueling Premier League season. He doesn't need to be here for this camp.
Right.
With Weston McKennie, I'd imagine they're like, it's a very competitive midfield there. He did get minutes recently. Let's keep him there. Get him as like we know what Weston is. As we both said, he does have a lot to prove. And I think when it's Pochettino's first real camp, he'll be there and he'll have to prove it to Pochettino. Agree. But for this one, I think it was 100% the correct decision. It's more important for him to get in the good graces of Motta and the Juventus system right now for this camp than it would be to have him. So I think that's definitely a positive thing.
1,000%. And I think it's interesting to see players like Aiden Morris, like who maybe wouldn't have gotten selected, get a chance. Like it's unfortunate Leonard Maloney got injured in that last game for Heidenheim because he's had a great start to the year. He had a great last year. And I would say had about a 95% chance of being selected for this camp until he went off injured. So I think the opportunity for an Aiden Morris, even Luca De La Torre, who's like kind of been in the team but never really had a chance to show himself. Like he got to move to Celta Vigo. He's hopefully playing more often and maybe makes a big move here for the U.S. men's national team.
Yeah, and for people who are a little confused, Timothy Way is injured. Serginho Dest is injured. Tyler Adams is injured.
Right.
Did I miss anyone?
Maloney, who I just said.
Right. But there are a few big names who we see almost, it's just like there's 10, 15 names that are on the list every single time that may not be on here. They have picked up injuries. That is why they are not on the list. So it's obviously not extremely important, these matches themselves. No Pochettino. Like even the England camp, a lot of people have dropped out for injury, whatever.
Or some players have gotten
recalled.
recalled.
Season just started. Yeah. So it seems like across all of the world, this international break isn't the most important. So kind of what do you want to see from these friendlies? What can we take away from friendlies that seem, from an international break that doesn't seem uber important to us?
I'd like to see full rotation between both games.
Okay.
I think, first of all, you got Canada first. That's going to be a more competitive game. Jesse Marsh is a little bit probably more fire.
Yeah.
And you got New Zealand. Like that New Zealand game, I maybe want to see two different goalkeepers, 45 minutes each. I want to see Diego Cochin get a chance to play. I mean, we've heard a lot about him at Barcelona's academy. He's 18. He has no caps for the U.S. men's national team. Let him walk away with a cap. Let him gain that confidence.
Exciting that I was like, there's no reason we shouldn't be bringing 4 goalkeepers.
Yeah, you were right about that.
I was shocked that it was him. But I think it's cool that he is getting an opportunity. And, like, I find myself, and it's just, like, a natural thing, but that trap that we fall into, like a Chelsea, a Barcelona. Right. But, like, you do get excited when they're coming from those types of clubs. So
it's like, it's great Diego Cochin is at Barcelona B. Mm-hmm. It'll be even better if in 2 years he's on loan at Celta Vigo and not the backup at Barcelona, right? That, to me, shows me that Barcelona thinks, at the very least, this is a player they can sell for some serious profit. Whereas, like, Conrad de la Fuente, like, I feel like we got really excited a few years ago. Like, he was making a few appearances here and there for Barcelona in the Champions League. Yep. And then, I mean, where is Conrad de la Fuente? I literally don't know. He made a loan move to Marseille, barely played, and then fell off the face of the earth.
I forgot about that name until you literally just brought it up.
I mean, I was like, oh my God, this guy's making appearances for Barcelona as a substitute. Like, no, if they really believed in him earlier, he would have put on loan at an earlier period in his career.
Yeah.
Like Serginho Dest, when he actually was moving for big fees to Bayern Munich, to Barcelona, like those things were being rumored and whatnot, that's when you knew that this was a player that's actually highly rated. Just being in an academy actually doesn't mean as much as we think it does being American fans.
Yeah. You have anything else on the camp?
I mean, do we need to see Matt Turner? Like, to me, there's some names here. Like,
I wanted to get to Matt Turner because it was just last week we talked about, like, he could be done, like, third, fourth choice at Nottingham. He gets a move, which I think is massive. I think it shows that, I mean, this is obvious, but the fact that he wasn't just going to sit there and be okay with, like, he obviously had something to do with that transfer. He was like, I need to get somewhere where I could potentially get minutes. I think going to Palace is great for him. He wasn't in the 18 for the last match, but the transfer had just gone through. So I think there's a chance. What's the Crystal Palace goalkeeping depth chart look like?
I mean, it's Dean Henderson, obviously, is their starter.
Dean Henderson.
Literally, just picturing him, I couldn't think of him. So they have Dean Henderson, and I mean, I think the way they see Matt Turner is decent enough cover with Premier League experience, play some cup games. I mean, it's better than sitting in Nottingham Forest,
way better,
where he clearly wasn't going to play, but like, it comes back to the question is, we know what Matt Turner is. I think the world knows what Matt Turner is. So let's see Ethan Horvath. As much as I'm not a fan of Patrick Schulte, let's see Patrick Schulte. And I know we've seen Horvath a bunch, but like, I don't think we're still 100% sure what Ethan Horvath is. And Diego Cochin, I'd like to see him play 45 minutes.
So this is an overreaction because Pickford did have a great season at Everton before starting again for England at the Euros. But in previous years, he wasn't having his best seasons, and he was still the starter for England.
Yeah.
Now, Turner is not at his level, but is there anything to be said about, like, consistently giving your guy who knows the setup? I mean, it's different now with Pochettino, but knows the defenders in front of him, has played in big moments, can handle the pressure, like... I'm all for trying new people, but I think writing off Matt Turner, I think it's a bit of a mistake.
I would agree with you, except the fact that at least one center back's not one he's played a bunch with. Even Chris Richards, until like 6 months ago, was not really the starting center back. So we're looking at...
they've played, 15, 20 games together?
I don't even know if that's true. I don't know if that's true, if they've played 15, 20 matches together. You have a right back that's still rotating. If Dest is going to come back in January, February, gets up to full speed by the summer. I mean, he's been injury prone. There's other talented right backs. I mean, Marlon Fossey is theoretically the backup right back right now with this camp to Joe Scally.
He's
So I mean, if you look at, they brought 8 defenders, right? I think you're going to play 4 in one game, 4 in another game.
Sure.
So I don't know. Matt Turner, you know what you're getting. I'd like to see even Schulte. Like, I thought he was pretty bad in the Olympics. But let's see what he can do with a better.
Very bad.
Let's see what he can do with a better defense in front of him. I don't know.
I don't know if the long shots were.
Yeah, they were just going under his hands. I don't really know, but I don't know.
That's why I'm just. How does Sonina not get a call up?
Like, I probably would have even
back clean sheet. It just seemed a little surprising to me.
100% agree.
Because we talked about it's like, now's your time, play well, and you will get rewarded. And it feels like he did that and didn't get rewarded. Maybe it's a similar situation if he just moved there. Give him more reps, who knows? But
let me ask you this. So you basically, if you just look at this, it seems like they've got 8 defenders, 2 at every position. You're going to go 4 and 4 for each match.
Yep.
You got 6 midfielders. If you consider Musa 6, which I don't, but I think in this situation maybe we do, you've got 2 sets of midfields, and then you've got 2 sets of forwards.
Sure.
Do we think we're going to see a straight swap 11 and 11? Do we think that's what we can expect?
Well, I'm still curious, honestly, to what. Not saying you're wrong, but what makes you think Pochettino had a say in this setup? But if he did, I would say 100%. He just wants to see 45 minutes of football from every player he picked and just see. Just get his eyes on
90 minutes theoretically, right? You got 2 matches.
Oh,
so
true. Yes.
You'll see in a 1-11 to 1 game. Obviously, you'll probably see 65, 70 minutes and then sub and whatever. But, I mean, I think it's an interesting concept to basically come in with 2 11s, let them play together, see what you get out of them. I mean, I think you got to mix and match, right? You can't do your best 11 and your second best 11.
You bring the same 4 strikers again, and it's like, we got to stop bringing 4. We have to make a decision on who the 3 are.
Right, like in this situation, Sargent and Haji Wright are both going to be playing on the wing at some point.
That doesn't that's not helpful to us. Like, I'd rather see like some young wingers. I think you said Paredes is injured, right?
Yeah.
So
right, like I would have liked to see Griffin Yao instead of Brendan Aronson.
Exactly. Well, Brendan Aronson has
he's in good form.
He earned his call up. As much as we're going to hate on him, if you earn it, you get it, and you see what you look like under Pochettino. What makes you think that Pochettino had a say in it? You just imagine that's what makes sense.
I mean, it seems idiotic to me to not give the new manager say on what players he's going to get to see play for the first time with a vested interest in this team.
Yeah, do you think he's at both games?
I think he gets announced in between game 1 and game 2 officially. And
are these things just like off vibes, or you like?
Well, I mean, they said he's getting announced next week.
Okay.
So next week there's a game on Tuesday.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking he gets announced Monday
or
Tuesday.
No, I'm just curious.
They kind of reveal him to the world. Yeah. I mean, they should make a spectacle of it.
100%.
This is huge news. So yeah, I mean, vibes maybe. I'm educated guess. I'd like to call it.
No, educated guess is that's fair. I was just curious.
Yeah, no, I think they figure out the final stuff I think everything's figured out. I think it's the Chelsea stuff that's getting figured out. Yeah. So, and I don't think they're breaking any rules for Pochettino to be an advisor.
That, to the viewers for some people who
my understanding of the Chelsea situation, I'm not going to get into too much detail, is basically, when you fire a manager when they still have years left on their contract, they're still owed that money. You're firing someone, if you were at a day job, it's
all guaranteed
severance,
money.
Right? It's guaranteed money. There's a certain amount guaranteed in every contract. Yep. Chelsea were planning on, as they do with all their stuff, amortizing it over the next cajillion years. But in order for Pochettino to take a new job, it needed to all be paid off. So they had to figure out how to get that done, I guess, in terms of Chelsea finding the cash, because money isn't always just cash, if you don't know that. So finding the cash to pay Pochettino to be able to sign a new contract, It appears that has been finished. And so an announcement will be made. That's my understanding.
That is my understanding as well.
So what midfield would you like to see together? Right? Because do you want to see Cardoso, Reina, Musa together because those are the best three together, or do you want to see, because Musa is really the only other player who can even play as a 6 of these players?
Well, I would like to play I would like to play 4 of. For me, it's if I were to make a starting lineup based off of this camp.
Right. Let's say Canada is the more important game. What's the starting lineup for Canada?
If I wanted, there's 2 different things. Who do I want to see play in the most important match, or if pretend this is a game we need 3 points from?
No, who do you want to see go up against Canada? Like, you think you'll get a better idea of their skill level?
Okay, so
and what's it like? I don't know. Be the manager.
Yeah, I would go Horvath in goal.
Okay.
I would go. For me, as we talked about, I want to give Ream an opportunity for Pochettino to see if he likes him. Because if he's not going to play, let's get him out of the side now. If he can't just linger and be like, because then in the back of our heads, we're always going to be questioning, should it be Ream? Should it be Ream? He's done this, that, and the other. Who cares if he's old? So I would go Ream. I would go Caleb Wiley. He's playing really well at Strasbourg right now. So those would be left. And then obviously Richards. And then I would go Scally. If he can show consistently that he's having the performances that he showed at Copa, he definitely cements himself as the backup right back and could potentially be in the running for starting with how well I thought he played, all things considered, in Copa. The midfield should be Cardosa, Musa, and Tillman, with Reina, Pulisic, and Balogun as the front.
Yeah, I think that's right. I'd actually probably go Lund at left back
over Wiley.
In that first match, yeah, I think
we just didn't.
Lund has more European experience. He has played a lot for Palermo, and it's Serie B. To be fair, but I think Wiley is off to a hot start, so I'd rather see him play against maybe the lesser side
keep his
confidence.
Yeah.
I think it's a balance of that. Although I don't think you're going to see a backline of the 4 most experienced players and then a backline of the 4 less experienced players.
That's why I figured throwing in Wiley with the 3 essentially starters from Copa.
I'd like to see Richards and Trusty together, because I think Trusty's maybe the best shot at being the starting left center back at the World Cup. If he goes to Celtic, he's great for them. He's a Champions League center back.
What have we seen about being great for Celtic applies to the U.S.
Nothing, but he played 34 matches in the Premier League last year. He played 38 matches in the Championship the year before. Now he's playing in the Champions League. The progression is kind of there.
Sure.
It's a bit of a weird progression because Birmingham didn't get promoted. Sheffield got relegated.
Yeah.
Now
he let up the most goals ever.
Right. So, it's a bit of an odd one, and I haven't been overly impressed by him at any moment. But nonetheless, he seemingly is failing upwards. So,
who I'm really excited to see is Aiden Morris.
Me too.
Came from the Crew. Is like an MLS American through and through. Not that we are huge supporters of that, but I can get behind, and then made the move.
But I like the move to Burrow instead of him going to some.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the right way, but if soccer is going to grow in America, I feel like this is kind of like make the academy sufficient enough to support a player becoming good enough to then deserve right away as a pro, get the move to Europe and play right away. Like, I think that
he's playing consistent minutes.
Right. I think that's potentially the best way for us to move forward. Is I don't know if the MLS teams need to be amazing, but make the academies real enough to where you can get the European move even once you're a pro player, an adult, and you've came through a U.S. academy. Because what we talked about forever in the U.S. setup is like, at 13, 14, 15, we'd love to see people go abroad because that's when you get the real training and the real this and the real that. And it was almost a death sentence to come up fully through your youth in a MLS youth setup. So if this can be a pipeline, I think he has done it in the right way. And if this turns out to be a good thing and we can keep doing that, that is what, for me, builds the funnel of U.S. soccer players more potentially than having actual solid MLS players.
100%. And I think generally there's not much better experience for a young midfielder than playing in the championship. It is rough. It is rowdy.
You're playing 100 games.
Yeah, you're playing so many games. You're playing against all different ages and types. You're playing against young players on loan from big clubs. You're playing against guys who have played 400 appearances in league football.
You
like,
just can't give it up.
Right. Like, you are playing against everybody. You're facing tough tackles. You're playing all different styles of football. I think it's great. It's a great way of developing young players that big clubs do. Yeah. And it matters, right? Like, you're playing every week to potentially get your club into the biggest league in the world.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think Aiden Morris is a really I'm way more interested in seeing Aiden Morris than Luca De La Torre.
Sure, agreed. Completely agreed.
Luca De La Torre was at Fulham, whatever. Like
Luca De La Torre, we
know what that is.
We know him.
I agree.
And he's never going to be good enough to break in.
No.
Cardoso is different, and where it's still kind of
I feel like everyone was like, I don't know if you saw in the comments of the last video, like, oh, well, Cardoso played in Brazil. Like, how is that different than Tessman playing in the Serie B? Like, if anything, Brazil football is closer to the MLS than Serie B is to the MLS. Yeah. Like, I think we've seen the same amount of both of them.
Yeah, I mean, he almost falls into the Brennan Aronson, where it's like, we know who you are, but maybe Aronson's a little bit better. Like, Aronson's
in good form. On our last show, we said Aronson should get called up.
Yeah, no. I'm happy he got the call up because he deserved it. But maybe Luca De La Torre is the type of thing where it's like everyone gets a clean slate and you get one camp. And it's like, if you show us what we already knew about you and nothing more, that was your last chance. So if that's the case and everyone gets the clean slate, as we said, should be the right way, then I'm fine with it. But I agree. There's not much for me there. One thing I'd like to see is right away Malik Tillman being like the guy.
He's been on fire for PSG to start the year. Yeah.
He should be in our starting lineup every single week.
100%. And kind of last thing on the camp, I don't know that much about Fossey. I can't say I've really watched him. I know he exists, but I know he's a right back. But I'm surprised he was selected over Richie Ledesma as the extra right back. Ledesma started the season hot. I think they're probably a little wary that he's coming back from injury. He's played a lot of matches to start the year already, so that could be the reason. But nonetheless, a huge opportunity for a player that we don't know a ton about, and that's exciting. No,
I think the mixture of new names, youth, and then let's get answers from veterans, I think was a perfect mixture.
For sure. And Musa has also started the year pretty well. He's playing, Milan haven't, but he's got an assist. He's playing more minutes than he did last year, so good for him. Yeah.
All right, time for Americans Abroad update.
And while he's loading that up, be sure to tune in to our stream on Bleacher Report on September 10th at 10 a.m. Eastern Time or 11 a.m. Eastern Time. It'll again be on the screen like it was last week. We're going to be doing our top 3 rankings.
11 a.m.
11 a.m. Eastern Time at September 10th on Bleacher Report, a Yanks Abroad live stream. We are going to be doing the top 3, ranking the top 3 players at every position for the U.S. men's national team. So that should be really fun. First time we're doing that. Hopefully won't be the last time. Make sure to tune into that. Americans Abroad update.
Yes, Americans Abroad update. I just did the big moves or the big notes. Yunus Musa played 22 minutes as a sub for AC Milan is kind of what we've expected. If he gets a start, I'll note that. Or if he's out of the 18, I'll note that. So these are all more notable things. Starting with Fuller and Balogun, who got 65 minutes in a 1-1 draw. He did not start last time we gave an Americans Abroad update. He got back into the starting lineup, so that's important. Cardoso played 33 minutes as a sub against Real Madrid. He looked very good, actually, when he came on as a sub, and also played the full 90 in the UEFA Conference League for them. But more importantly, I don't even know if it's important, but got the deal in place through the Lo Celso deal that Tottenham has first right of purchase at a $30 million valuation. I guess the reason that it's a big deal is because a $30 million valuation is like a pretty big number. Yeah, more than like his going price would have been if he got a transfer out.
Well, I think so. Like theoretically, there were links this summer, which I think were kind of fake to like Madrid and Barcelona, and that is like, oh, we'll take it, 30 million is what the starting price is. So at least that seems to be what the price is for Johnny Cardoso. That's what he's rated at, and I mean, it's not necessarily happening, but at least Tottenham are interested in the player. That's important.
It's something to note. Cade Cowell, who we actually didn't talk about, got an assist in 45 minutes for Guadalajara.
I think him not being included and us not talking about him pretty much shows you anyone on the Western Hemisphere is probably not in Pochettino's plans.
Mexico is not an option either, it seems. Weston McKennie got 23 minutes as a substitute versus Roma, which I think is important because, as we've talked about, there's been a lot of turmoil around him, and the fact that he's still getting minutes in a very good Juventus side and a very I would say the midfield is the best part of their team, I think is important. Pulisic, who I hated taking corners, put in a beautiful corner for Milan, who had a 2-2 draw against Lazio. They're really struggling. Yeah. And they've got some off-the-field issues. So it'll be interesting to see if AC Milan can put it together.
Did you see everybody quote tweeting that Pulisic goal being like, why can't he put these types of corners in for the U.S. men's national team?
No.
Yeah, everyone's like, this is what we've been calling out for.
Yeah, I mean, me included. Gio Reyna was in the 18 but did not play in their 0-0 draw against Werder Bremen. So when we answered the fan question last week, I was super bullish because he got the sub minutes already and then didn't get them. So it seems like it's going to be a little bit of an up and down for him, and he's going to have to play really well when he gets the minutes to earn more, which for him could be a good thing.
And also once we have, Champions League and the Cup games start picking up, there'll be more games, hopefully. I mean, if he's not getting minutes when those games start coming into the schedule, then it's starting to really start working.
Yeah. Anthony Robinson played the full 90 for Fulham and got an assist. He is out of this world good right now for Fulham, and there was a comment on our last episode that was someone was like, I'm going to try and keep my temper, but the way you guys talked about Anthony Robinson shows you haven't watched him previously than 6 to 9 months ago. And I understand he may have had better performances for the U.S. in the past, not excluding the Copa, but even at the World Cup, I thought he wasn't as bad as he was at Copa, but I did not think he was at the level that he showed he was at Fulham. And that's more what we're saying. One, it's high expectations for Jedi because he's very good in general. And then two, the way he plays at Fulham, that rarely transfers over. So it wasn't just about the Copa.
It's also, we've seen him progress from, the World Cup, we saw him get better from 6 months later. Then he got, maybe the second best left back in the Premier League. So the frustration was, okay, how do you not take that amazing form and bring it to the most important tournament of your lifetime? Yeah. We obviously, if anyone watched the episode, both said he is the best left back we have. He will be the starting left back as long as we can see into the future. We're both big fans, but we just want him to take that Fulham form and bring it to the U.S.
And I promise I've been watching the U.S. men's national team way more than just the Copa. Gaga Slonina, 90 minutes in a shutout versus Crawley Town on September 1st, and then 90 minutes in a shutout against Sheffield United in the Carabao Cup on August 27th. We touched on those two shutouts, did not get the call-up. Tanner Tessman got his first appearance for Lyon. 3 minutes as a substitute, but that just shows me they want to get him involved as soon as possible. He probably wasn't even ready to play, and they're just like, 3 minutes, get on the pitch, you played, let's just keep churning this up.
100%.
Malik Tillman with another assist for PSV. I mean, we can't even continue to talk about how highly we rate him. Matt Turner, not in the 18 and didn't play against Chelsea, but got his move to Palace, which we also touched on. Caleb Wiley, 45 minutes as a substitute and an assist for Strasbourg in that game against Lyon, where Tessman got the minutes, and finishing Yunus Musa, as I said, 20 minutes as a sub. Other around the U.S. men's national team played. Chris Richards played, but I don't need to update you when he plays 90 minutes every single match.
Right. Like, we expect Chris Richards to play 90 minutes every match. Even though he didn't leave, their other signing who had come in, that center back, got hurt. Anderson left. We expect Chris Richards to play pretty much every single minute of the Premier League season if he's healthy.
Yeah. If there's no update, the assumption is, because if he gets hurt or doesn't play, I'll update you. And if he scores, I'll certainly update you. So the assumption with these players is everything stayed true. That's the Americans Abroad update. A bit lighter than last week in terms of goals and assists, but again, a ton of positives to continue taking. It'll be interesting to see what comes from this break. Don't get too high, don't get too low. Once it's Pochettino's squad for real, then we can start reeling.
I would go as far as to say don't even worry about results from these two matches. This is strictly, let's see what these players can offer. I'm interested to see the type of football we even play, because it's not Pochettino's setup and it's not Berhalter's setup. So
yeah, you know anything about the caretaker?
No.
Yeah, me either.
I didn't even
bother putting in research.
Is he a coach?
I believe so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't really know it. I mean, I think they've got a very clear plan that they're going to stick to. This team's going to play this. This team's going to play that game. Sub at X minute. Don't worry about result. See what we can get. Hopefully coaching Nate his U.S. men's national team debut. That would be great. And that's really it. I'm excited to do our Bleacher Report live stream in a week. And
then we're streaming the Tuesday match, right?
Yeah, we'll be streaming the Tuesday match that night. Live stream. We'll do a little pregame 30 minutes beforehand, discuss the lineup, whatever. So make sure to be there for all of that. Big week ahead for the U.S. men's national team. And then, of course, we'll do a recap after both matches to break down everything that's gone down.
Yep. All right. We will see you on Tuesday.
All right.
Peace.